I'm Dr. Dorothy Boorse. I'm in the Department of Life, Health, and Physical Sciences here at Gordon College, and my specialty is in biology and environmental science. So waste is anything that you produce when you're doing something and that you yourself don't have a use for. Something could be a waste that you're going to get rid of, but could be valuable to somebody else. However, most of the time when we talk about waste, we're talking about solid waste. Sometimes we're talking about sewer waste, or sometimes we're talking about things that, like our heat waste or something like that. So I think waste is a concern in the environment for a number of reasons, and one would be that humans produce products that don't exist anywhere else and never existed till humans made them. So almost every year it's about 10 million new chemical products that humans produce, and there's about 275 million chemicals that are kept track of by the American Chemical Society. So if you can picture, there's just a lot of stuff that humans make that the rest of the natural world isn't really prepared to take into its system. So that's one. Another is that it takes a lot of resources and sometimes causes a lot of environmental damage to get raw materials out of the environment and then also to make something out of them. So for example, when we have to mine ore and then we have to smelt it and then we make a product out of it, there's a lot of energy, we destroy streams, maybe we destroy the landscape, and we produce a lot of acid runoff and mine tailings. And then we've got this product, it takes a lot of energy to make our product, and then we have to ship it around. So if you get that and you don't use it really well, all of that investment of energy and everything else has been wasted, right? So in our best world, we view things like in a circle, where it's called a circular economy, and we do something called life cycle analysis, where you look at what it takes to make a product, and then what it takes to use a product, and then what it takes to get rid of the product and get whatever you can back out of it. And so it's much better for the environment. Certainly it's better for human health, because a lot of these waste products that we make have an effect on human health, and everything from cancer to allergies to whatever can be affected by that. Well, I think as a Christian, using whatever God's provided for us really wisely is a commandment. I think it's part of our job as humans to care for the rest of the world. And I also think it's just very practical. You can't care for poor people when there's 8 billion people if you also aren't careful about resource use and the way you treat things that are left over. So I think there's just some practical reasons and also some ethical and reasons that come out of my own faith beliefs. And I also think, if you care about biodiversity, all of the waste production affects biodiversity, it affects people's jobs, and there's a lot like that. So I actually think that this is a place where people can make a huge difference, and one is simply using less things. So I did show a little graphic of the hierarchy of waste that the EPA shows, and it goes from the best thing to do is prevent making waste, and that might be reduce your use of something, and the next would be reduce reuse. So all that whole world we live in where things are single use is really not ideal. It wastes a lot of energy and a lot of water in addition to the actual materials of whatever we're throwing out. And then, so reduce Reuse, recycle is when you take that material that you have, whatever it is, and you remelt it or take that material and you make something out of it different from the first thing that you had. And then you can recover materials. So it might be the case that, okay, the best thing that we can do at the end is burn this and get the energy out of it, or maybe the best thing that we can do is break it down into all of its basic chemicals and use them. And then the very, very bottom should be, not very much done, should be throwing something actually away in something like a landfill. Certainly, that's another part of the issues with waste, is that we put things in a landfill, we hope they stay there, but in fact, if water gets in and stuff leaches out, you can pollute your groundwater with stuff from the landfill, so you don't want to do that. So let me just say, I think that there are just innumerable things that can be done. And one is cleaning up waste that's already been gotten into the environment. And I'm just gonna tell you a couple of great examples. One is called Coast Sweep. All around the United States, every year, there's people picking up beaches, and they actually, it's a citizen science thing, they actually keep track of every kind of trash, and they take all those data and they figure out what things are mostly on beaches. And another one though is a story from Mumbai, India, and I think the name of the beach is Barossa Beach. But there was one guy who was a lawyer, and he looked out and the beach was so covered with trash that it was like almost 5 feet deep across this whole expansive beach. And he went out and started picking up. And he knocked on his apartment neighbors' doors and asked them to come out. And over a 2-year period, there were hundreds and then thousands of people coming out every weekend to pick up the beach. And now green turtles are back nesting on this beach. And it was because of one guy who just didn't give up. And I'll be honest, I would have been curled up in a fetal position, crying about how terrible the beach was. And this man had the vision to say, I can go make a difference on this beach. And I don't want you to underestimate the power of people just saying, I'm gonna make a change here. I also think, don't underestimate the power of people working really hard together. And so, you guys, we're in this together, and not wasting resources is one of the quickest ways to make a difference on the climate change problem and on all sorts of other environmental problems.